Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the DoubleClutch.ca podcast. I'm your host, Nick, managing editor of DoubleClutch.ca, and I'm here with Nathan in our kind of new podcast studio.
Yeah, we're trying to make a new space because our existing podcast studio had a slight bit very bad water damage. And Rush's office is usually kind of, I don't want to say a mess. He keeps it very tidy.
He does.
But there's always like 30 other phone calls and stuff hanging up, like going on around the office. It just wrecks the audio. So we're trying something different in the basement.
Yes.
We are a little concerned about echoing that we've tried to address. So if the audio on this is kind of weird, we're sorry if we won't do it again.
Yes. Please bear with us. We're just throwing things at the wall and seeing what works.
Speaking of which, we don't have a notepad down here, so we're just kind of winging this.
We're going to wing it.
Nick, flap your wings.
This doesn't really.
They can't see that.
They can't. This really
fucking.
This doesn't. People can't see this. I'm waving my hands up and down.
Okay, but you flew somewhere. Where'd you fly?
I did. I flew all across the country last week to drive the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 9.
And was it nice?
It actually really was.
So it is. I asked this, but I'm asking again for the sake of repeating it on the podcast. It is basically the Kia EV9.
Yes. Actually, fun thing I learned about. I learned about the dynamic between Hyundai and Kia. I'm not sure how much like inside baseball this is, but like it's very much a sibling rivalry between those two brands.
I've gathered that as well. They don't actually talk to each other. They use the same stuff, but they're not. Yeah,
but they take a lot of. They put in a lot of care and effort to differentiate their products from each other, and I think that's what really struck me about the Ioniq 9 versus the EV9. So like the first thing that really stuck out at me was that like the Ioniq 9 and the EV9 both start at like a hair under $60,000. I think there's like $4 separating those two.
Okay, is it worth the $4?
I kind of think it is because the Ioniq 9 looks and feels much different, and it has a lot more range base for base.
Okay, but now wait. Hang on. Base for base.
Base for base.
So when we were talking about this last week, I meant to ask you, and then I didn't because I got sidetracked by like a ball or a butterfly or some stupid shit. Because I made an assumption.
Yes.
That the Ioniq 9 got better range base for base because it just had the upgrade battery as default. Because I think the EV9 has two different size batteries, my memory serves.
Correct. So
I assumed it got the bigger battery by default. But if the pricing is the same across the board,
that's the kicker. Like there's a lot of overlap price wise, but there's also a lot of different stuff going on under the skin that actually meaningfully differentiates the other two, at least for now. I don't doubt that with some sort of mid-cycle refresh, I don't doubt that the EV9 is eventually going to get all these same things, like the upgraded motors, like the bigger 110 kilowatt hour battery.
That's a sizable battery.
It's quite a bit bigger than even the biggest battery in the EV9.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the EV9 eventually gets all that stuff, but Hyundai really did their homework with this thing, not just to one up their siblings, but also to like set that benchmark in the electric 3-row space.
Yeah, like just make the better car.
Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed, the second thing I noticed was like, what even constitutes a Genesis anymore? Because this Ioniq 9's interior was gorgeous. Like it really did feel like an upsized GV60.
Let me check your photos because I think the thing we've talked about a bunch of times with this is that like Genesis is a very distinct design language.
Yeah.
Like They don't look like anything else, especially inside. They're like nothing else on the road.
But I find...
God, that thing looks good. What the Okay, no, I can see it because, like, this is much more squared off, though. Like, it's very Hyundai-y. It's very... Yeah, like, the screen and stuff is... No, I see what you mean. I see what you mean, but I also disagree because it is still Hyundai. It's just blurring the lines. But it's a very Hyundai design language. The Genesis thing is very flowy and curvy. This ain't.
Yeah. It's definitely linear as one would expect from Hyundai's interior design language, but I feel like their material choices and the colorway, especially on the ones we were driving, like they all had the light interior. It just really, really reminded me of the GV60.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, this is like what even is a Genesis?
I assume it drove nice. Wait, so what is... Throw some boring numbers at me. So, like, how many muscles does it have? And how far can it go?
So, base Ioniq 9s, they aren't what I'd call particularly quick. So, same idea as the EV9. Single electric motor out back, 215 horsepower. Rear-wheel drive, but yeah, it's for a car pushing like more than 6,000 pounds. I don't think 250 horsepower would make it particularly sprightly. But that also does give you the most range, 539 kilometers.
And that's the base or single motor large battery?
That's the base single motor large / only battery you can get. I
see. Okay. Yeah. So there's only one battery option in the Ioniq 9.
Correct.
I understand.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's just the big boy. So the next step up, it's the dual motor all-wheel drive. A second. It just adds
just times 2.
Yep. And that bumps it up to about 330-ish horsepower and change.
Okay.
Not bad. Range actually doesn't take much of a hit. You're at 515 kilometers.
So like a 5%, less than 5% hit.
Yeah. And the ones we drove, the Ultimate Calligraphies, that has the full kill, most potent electric powertrain. 440-ish horsepower, and I want to say over 500 pound-feet of torque.
Okay.
And again, you're still at like 500 kilometers of range.
That's really impressive.
It actually is.
That's really impressive that they can do that and that they've managed to make something so big slice through the air as efficiently as it does.
Yeah. It has a I want to say like 0.26 or 0.27 drag coefficient, which is
crazy.
Very surprising
for a bus. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a very pretty bus. Your photos look great.
Thank you. The only Ioniq that is more slippery than the Ioniq 9 is the Ioniq 6, which makes sense considering just how soupy that is.
Yeah, it's a tiny little teardrop car, not a 3-row big ass SUV.
It was funny. I thought it was really funny. Their Hyundai's product planner, who's also a pretty big car guy. Has a couple of stripped out BMWs and a bike.
Nice.
Yeah, fucking stripped out E92 M3 and I think he has a Z4 coupe as well.
Okay,
like, do the G.
Yeah.
Anyway, he mentioned that it's more slippery than a Corvette.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. It looks great. I'm going to assume it drives well.
So there's an asterisk to that.
Okay.
It does drive well. It doesn't do the instant torque thing by default. You can do that when you flip it into sport mode.
Yeah.
As you can, but by default, I like how it favors a more relaxed. It favors a more relaxed power delivery.
Yeah. It's not pretending.
No, it's quick in a straight line. It does the torque thing. It doesn't fall off at speed, unlike most EVs do.
Yep.
My only complaint is with the body control. I think Kia does body control a little bit better. Because with this thing, we were in Ucluelet, so I'm gonna just say the roads there aren't my first choice to rip an Ioniq 9 over.
Okay,
but I think it rode well, good steering, decent amount of feedback, but those mid corner bumps when you're taking like a long sweeper, you come across a bump or two, it upsets the car a bit too much, and those like side to side jiggles stick around for a little too long. So it's a little bit boaty in that regard. And you can always say like, oh, twisty roads, most people aren't dealing with that, but we do deal with potholes. We do deal with expansion joints and bumps and other shit and long highway on-ramps. So, that stuff would theoretically translate to, the real world. So, and that's something I did not notice with the EB9. So I'd say the EB9 exhibits slightly better body control.
Okay, that makes sense.
Roomier interior. This does have more cargo capacity with the seats with the third row up.
Okay,
because of the different shape roof line. There's just more breathing room.
Okay.
Crazy amount of rears of third row headroom. Like I could easily fit.
Okay, that's good because a lot of third rows are pretty useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does in the calligraphy trims do the lounge seating in all positions except for the third row.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the whole footrest that goes up. That's
kind of wondered about the lounge seating. Like I don't know who is actually using this. Who is sitting in the driver's seat of their car, reclining, with the footrest up?
Probably when you're charging.
Oh yeah. Charging.
I can see people. I can see people doing that, and charging. I'll get into later. But yeah, the lounge seating in the second row is like, that's a chill way to do it.
Okay, cool.
I dig it. Did you know?
I didn't.
That the Ioniq 9 has a completely separate rear climate control system.
I did not.
Like you can still control it from the front. But it has its own lines, its own blower, its own brain.
Right.
From
it's
the
a completely divorced system. I guess it makes sense given just how big it is.
Yeah,
it's probably just made more sense to have two smaller compressor units than one big one.
Yeah. So I found that interesting. I can't imagine how well that would age though.
I don't see it being an issue because I was going to bring up, so like on the service side, I've seen this where rear AC lines go out and take down the whole system. And no one really uses rear AC. You just use the front and let it wash to the back. So the amount of times where like a lot of the time those rear AC lines aren't even available anymore. And if they are available, they're disgusting money because they have to go all the way to the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
A lot of the time they just get cut and blocked off. So by having it separated, it actually might be more serviceable and less of a problem if they do go out.
Interesting.
I'm also willing to bet just the economics of having to run less line.
Yeah.
Because you're not having to plumb all the way from the front to the back. You're just doing the front and the back separately. You're not having to cross over that middle ground. Which probably reduces costs. And I'm willing to bet they're probably using two same-size compressor units instead of one gigantor fuck-off thing. Which is probably easier to package and power.
I hadn't thought of that.
Taking cars apart is fun.
That whole setup when they were explaining it, I was like, oh my god, that sounds pretty complicated, but makes sense now. What else? Charging. So NACS port for 2026.
What's NACS?
That is the North American Charging... Sorry about that. That's the North American Charging Standard. Basically Tesla plugs.
Gotcha. Okay.
So now you can supercharge.
So is it... Now, hang on. Is it only that?
They give you an adapter as well.
Okay, so the one built into the vehicle is the Tesla 2-prong port.
Yeah.
And you also get an adapter to use the one we have at the office.
Yeah.
I see, okay.
Yeah. So that's cool. Hyundai quotes, I think, like 24 minutes for a 10 to 80 charge, which is pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
And I'm, I haven't personally tested this yet, but I'm inclined to believe, given the size, the support network with Tesla Supercharger, I would imagine it would be more reliable to find a consistent fast charger that's actually fast out there.
Hard to say. I was on a different event and I heard someone complaining about the Tesla Supercharger network, how they're further apart and less reliable and often more in use. So who knows? I guess we're going to start finding out this year when these things start rolling out to the fleet, and as more companies kind of standardize to this.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for the Ioniq 9.
How much money?
$59,999 to start for the base rear-wheel drive, 539 kilometers of range, big battery Ioniq 9. It's worth rehashing that it's pretty much the same price as an EV9 to start. The ones we drove were the Ultimate Calligraphy. That was $81,499.
Right.
As tested.
Right. And for the extra $20,000, you get more power, another motor, 2 more driven wheels, lounge seats, panoramic roof.
Much fancier interior too.
Right. Okay.
It's a steal. Compared to like it could easily pass off as a luxury electric 3-row. But it's one hell of a value proposition. There's also a very big delta in price between their one below fully loaded and their fully loaded trims. I think that there's like a 10-12K difference between the mid-range and the top trim.
Right.
So it kind of makes you wonder what they're going to slot in there to fill that gap.
Yep.
If I had to guess, I would probably say I'd probably say an XRT.
Yeah, that's just what I was thinking.
Would be a safe bet to join the lineup in the next little while. I wouldn't be surprised if you see one, but
tough bus.
Yeah, tough, stylish bus. It took me a while to come around to that rear 3/4 view, but it's different when you're seeing it like in the flesh and outside.
I got immediate Renault Avantime vibes out of it.
I got Volvo vibes like right away, like straight up Volvo V70 from the rear. It's such an interesting car to look at. Like there's just so many details that the longer you look at it, the more you pick them out. Like the taillights, like all the pixels. It just looks different in a good way.
Yeah, it's neat. It's very detailed without being overstyled.
Yeah,
I'm just typically very good at that.
They are with their. Maybe not with their lower models. I find like stuff like the Elantra, which we'll get into later.
Why don't we just talk about that now since you've already brought it up?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I find shit like the Elantra, the Kona, the Tucson, they're maybe a little too busy for their own good. But once you start climbing up the lineup, I find they really clean up their design game the more money you spend.
Well, I mean, also like their higher end stuff is their newer stuff. Like we're thinking of this Ioniq 9. What's the other one? You know, the car that looks like a bus. The Land Rover. The
Santa Fe.
The Santa Fe.
The new Palisade. Like, those are like, wow.
Yeah.
No, but the Kona came out like fairly recently too. But it too is maybe a touch overstyled.
It's leaned a little hard into it. It's mostly just the body cladding that kills it.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell us about the press vehicle that I was supposed to be in this week.
So I came back from driving the Hyundai Ioniq 9 and hopped into another Hyundai. I'm in Nathan was supposed to be in the 2025 Elantra Hybrid this week. Mm-hmm. And that's actually quite a pleasant thing.
I keep trying to correct you and say it's an Elantra N. I'm so used to hearing Elantra N.
Yeah.
No.
It's weird. It's weird to have a regular Elantra on the fleet, which is great. I'm not complaining, but it's
a nice car.
I haven't seen a regular Elantra on the fleet in a while because everyone cares about the Elantra Ns. Mm-hmm. Lovely car. Truly a lovely car. I wasn't expecting it to be such a lovely commuter.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, so prior to recording, we just took it out.
Yep.
Because I wanted to see what it was about. And I also wanted a coffee. And it's a really nice little car.
It is. So this being the hybrid, you don't have the 2.0 normally aspirated. You have the 1.6 liter non-turbo 4-cylinder. Mm-hmm. So you do take a bit of a horsepower hit. I think it's hilarious how this is like the least powerful Elantra. Mm-hmm. Like it's 139 horsepower. Like it has less horsepower than the base 2.0.
It didn't feel okay. Now, granted, when we were out with it, I wasn't trying to go fast, but it didn't feel slow.
No, around town with the electric motor pitching in, it's punchy enough. I find it does run out of breath on the highway,
right?
Which when you're dealing with less than 140 horsepower,
to be expected.
Par for the course.
Okay.
That is hooked up to a CVT, a completely inoffensive CVT that just blends into the background. Mm-hmm. You don't think about it at all. And oh my god, the fuel economy.
Yeah, you said you were seeing 5.2?
5.1 actually, until you took it out.
I didn't even do anything dumb with it.
Well, I parked it at work this morning. It was at 5.1, and now when we got back into it, it's at 5.2. So clearly...
Shut up.
Okay.
You were sitting there the whole time. All we did was sit in a drive-thru.
I know.
And go around the block one time.
Yes.
Reasonably.
Yes, we did, actually. 5.2 liters per 100 kilometers, and that's commuting on the highway, too. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sitting in traffic with that thing.
Yeah, and that's typically where little hybrids like that tend to shine. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
What did the Civic Hybrid get? Asking the big questions. And the Corolla Hybrid, for that matter.
So the Corolla Hybrid was all-wheel drive. So that one took a bit of a fuel economy hit. Mm-hmm. Granted, I also put 1,800 kilometers on that, almost all highway in winter with the heat blasting the entire time. That one I averaged 5.8.
Okay, which is still not bad at all.
Still not bad. Not as good as I was expecting. Mm-hmm. I don't know what John got out of the Civic Hybrid off the top of my head.
I will look right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because splitting these numbers does matter in this segment.
It absolutely does. So yeah, 5.1 liters per 100K, mostly highway commuting, bit of stop and go.
Oh shit, 5.9 for the Civic.
Yeah,
damn. Okay.
Granted, the Civic is also a lot more. I think the Civic has almost 100 more horsepower.
Oh yeah, the Civic can actually move. It's fun.
Yeah. Man, it's a pleasant little car. It drives well. Seats are. I know Addie was complaining about the seats in that thing, and I buy it. Seats are a little firm. Not the most thigh support, but for what this car is, a nice little commuter that's good on gas. Mm-hmm. Looks nice inside. Exterior styling, I'm still not big on it. Again, it's one of the it's overstyled, I think. It works on the Elantra N with all the pointy Go Fast add-ons.
I find it works on the upper trim cars. It desperately needs metallic paint and bigger wheels to sell the shape.
Yeah.
The really stripped out cars just look like Uber rental cars.
Yeah. Yeah. It at least needs gloss black window trim.
I didn't even notice that.
It was like matte black.
Oh, okay.
Didn't
even notice that.
Wow, it's like that looks pretty. It definitely. I don't know. There are definitely more attractive cars in the segment, in my humble opinion.
That's fair. Basically, just the Civic.
Basically
the Civic. The Civic's really good looking.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's a cheater car.
Yeah.
That's a cheat code of a car.
Yeah, win at everything forever.
Yeah. Good tech. This is running. It's still running Hyundai's previous infotainment, which you like.
You say that's so accusing. Which you like.
I didn't mean to sound so accusatory, but the one thing that struck me was so it's funny. Again, might be a bit too inside baseball for some, but I typically pack 2 USB cables into my press cars. I like to sometimes bring a USB-A and a USB-C. Lately, I figured, Jesus, I haven't used my USB-A cable in a long time. I'll just fucking keep bringing my USB-C because most cars either have USB-C ports or wireless CarPlay. The Elantra requires a USB-A cable to connect to the infotainment. So I can only charge my phone with my USB-C cable or the wireless charger, and I can't connect to CarPlay.
Wow, man, your life is awful.
I know. Just
I actually don't know how you're surviving.
So terrible, honestly. But at the same time, it's 2025. You'd think Hyundai would have thrown in the new infotainment software on the refresh last year when cars still had wireless CarPlay.
Hyundai Kia always has a weird answer about that. That whole group always has weird cagey answers. Oh, no, this one couldn't get CarPlay because of decisions.
Yes. Decisions. I've heard anything from
it's that was a Korean decision. That was made. That was out of our hands. There's always excuse.
I got some finger pointing towards Samsung. They're apparently Hyundai. Apparently Apple didn't license it because Android. I don't fucking know.
It's a legacy hardware decision in Korea.
That's basically. I don't know. So that was a little annoying. I also thought it was a little weird. This being the fully loaded model.
Is it fully loaded or mostly loaded?
It's fully loaded. It's as loaded as you can get for a hybrid.
Okay.
And manual front seats, manually adjustable front seats on both sides, both chairs. So that was a little weird because, most comparable cars have a power driver's seat at the very least.
Yeah, most comparable cars are not under $30,000.
God damn it! Gotham. I had this whole bit set up in my head. I had a whole fucking transition set up into the price point, but you just had to fucking say that.
Well, I didn't know you were going to do that.
God damn it.
You sounded obtuse. I was helping out.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What I was going to say is that all of these nitpicks I forgive because this thing's like $30,000 as tested.
You can only set yourself up for so long before someone else knocks it down, buddy.
I know. $30,000 as tested. So it is one hell of a value, I think. I don't care if the interior feels a little cheap in some spots or if it has...
I don't even get that out of it. It feels nice. The touch points are fine. The leatherette surfaces are fine. The way Hyundai does their interior styling really complements contrasting colors that they've chosen.
It really does. It doesn't... So I got maybe a little bit of hard touch plastics that I always bitch about. On the door panels and I know, right? Ha 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 ha. But it doesn't. It looks nice. It feels solid.
It doesn't feel like a cheap ship box.
Nice. It doesn't look or feel that much like a cheap ship box. It's a really attractive design, and I love the two-tone.
Yeah, I don't love the two-tone, but it works. It helps elevate it.
I don't love the two-tone in certain spots. You pointed out the shift knob. I was like, wow, that's going to get very disgusting.
Why is it shift knob? The thing you touch, white leatherette.
Yeah.
Stop it. This is not the answer.
No.
No.
Yeah, aside from like a little bit of like, things that make you go, and scratch your head inside. It's quite a pleasant little commuter car. Mm-hmm. Like I'm pleasantly surprised by this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're pretty good little cars. They drive like they don't do anything amazing, but they drive fine. There's lots of rear seat room. There's a big trunk. They're quiet. Like it's kind of like what else do you want a car to be, man?
And I feel like for the money, it's just like it's a really it's a steal. Mm-hmm. Like $30,000, you're at the Corolla SE hybrid. So basically, it has all the visual pizzazz of the XSE that I had, but with less bells and whistles. But
fewer.
Yes,
fewer bells and whistles.
Fewer bells. Yes, I stand corrected.
You're welcome.
Fewer bells and whistles. I appreciate that. But the all-wheel drive XSE, the all-wheel drive Corolla XSE hybrid, that was pushing like
36. I was just looking at your review. 36. Yeah. And he said so you had the base price you had there. I guess is for the base Corolla hybrid.
What did I put there? I forgot what I put down there.
27.
Yeah, that's the base Corolla hybrid.
Right.
If you like the look of the XSE, you can step up to the SE. Mm-hmm. It gives you most of the stuff, but that's $30,000 and still front wheel drive.
Yeah.
And even then, you're still missing. You're still missing things.
Is this a Elantra all-wheel drive?
Front wheel drive.
Right. Okay.
But you are actually you're not even. The only thing you're really missing is like leather seats in the Corolla. Mm-hmm. So you're not really missing that much.
The Corolla does have the option of all-wheel drive, and people do really care about that.
People do like all-wheel drive, but at what cost?
$6,000.
Yeah,
that's right here. That's
if memory serves me right, the Civic Hybrid Sport Trim. Not the sport touring, the sport trim. The cheapest one you can get with a hybrid. Mm-hmm. That one is $32,000.
I think so. I think you're right. I don't want to pick up my phone again. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about this a few times, so that number's like sticking around in my head. But again, cloth seats. I don't think you get a sunroof. You do get one with the Elantra. Personally, I'd probably take an Elantra hybrid over a Corolla hybrid.
Okay.
I don't think I would take an Elantra hybrid over a Civic Sport hybrid.
No.
Because even though you are missing things like leather seats and a sunroof, the interior of the Civic is like leagues better than almost anything in the segment.
As is the driving dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. The 2025 Hyundai Elantra Hybrid, pleasant little commuter car.
All right, very good.
So, what were you off doing?
I was in Mont-Tremblant in Quebec.
How many croissants did you have?
7.
Excellent.
Yeah. One at the first hotel. 2 when we got there, and 3 the following day.
Excellent.
I fucking love croissant. Quebec croissant, you need them. I think it was 8. So we stopped partway too. Nice. Yeah, it was 8.
Excellent.
Actually, I'm obsessed. I fucking love a good croissant. I don't get them here anymore because they're so good in Quebec. But yeah, I was out there checking out the updated 2025 Ford Maverick.
That's a big deal.
It's just a little Canadian first drive event because it's already on showroom floors. Mm-hmm. Headliner things, new front fascia with revised styling elements, headlight elements to more closely match its bigger brethren in the Ranger and the F-150. Mm-hmm. Different lower fascias, a couple of new color options and new interior color options. The biggest headline thing is the fact that the hybrid powertrain, which was previously locked exclusively to a front-wheel drive option, is now available as all-wheel drive.
That's a big deal.
That's big because that's what everybody wanted.
Yep.
I want the hybrid. I want to save the fuel, but I would like the all-wheel drive. And you had to choose. You either get the turbo or an all-wheel drive, or you get the hybrid and not all-wheel drive. Pick one. So now you get both. And Ford's thing, and I'm parroting Matthew. He's a French guy. Matthew. Who said like they wanted no compromise with the Maverick Hybrid.
Yep.
So you can get the tow package. You can tow the same 4,000 pounds as the existing EcoBoost model.
Really?
Yep. Same 1,500 pound payload. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
The tow package with a hybrid, that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah. So you're not giving anything up. It's not like, okay, if I actually need to work, I'm going to get the EcoBoost. Not necessarily, my guy.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing.
Very interesting. Okay. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And there is a very compelling case for the hybrid because I had never driven one before. It's a fabulous fucking powertrain. It's really fucking nice. It's very smooth. It's very quiet. It feels very effortless around town. Very much like your Elantra. It feels completely gutless if you actually try to go fast.
Yep.
But if you're not flat-footed, it feels fine. It accelerates fine. It merges no problem. It's fine. Ford's ECVT setup is actually super fucking clever and very slick and imperceptible. It's not droney. It's not thrashy. It's just a very nice powertrain. And I saw 6 liters per 100.
That's
on the highway in a truck.
That's really fucking good.
It's insane. It's ridiculous how good it is.
Yeah.
And not to say the 2 liter is bad. I think I got a 10 or 11 in it, but
yeah, that's about what I got with the Ride 1 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but the hybrid is crazy efficient, and it gives up hardly anything to the front driver. It's like 0.1, 0.2.
That's nothing. That's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah. Mathieu said that over the course of an average year driving 20,000 kilometers, you will spend an extra $60 in fuel.
That's
all-wheel drive.
Nothing.
Yeah. What else is there? Big news inside is that they've gone over to a 13-inch screen running Sync 4. So it's updated. It's the newer Ford interface. It's very familiar. It's pretty slick. It works pretty well. And then standard across all models.
Nice.
So it's not a case of like you get the little bitty screen or whatever. It's just this is what it looks like, and you get a new digital gauge cluster as well.
Do they still have the XL? Like the base XL?
They still have that.
Okay.
Yeah, but that gets these upgrades.
Very interesting. Okay. Can you pair all-wheel drive with a hybrid on the XL?
I don't think so. I think you have to do at least an XLT to get that.
Okay.
Don't quote me to it, but I think so.
Okay.
Which reminds me while I'm thinking about it. So the base price now is $34,500. $35,000 for the EcoBoost, the all-wheel drive EcoBoost, and $37,000 for the hybrid all-wheel drive.
Little on the pricier end, isn't it?
But you got a bigger TV.
You do get a bigger TV.
And they drive nice. They drive really nice.
That they do.
And they're very quiet, and they handle well. Yeah. And there's there's more rear seat room in that than the bigger mid-sized trucks. Like, it's a really good vehicle. And then there's cool guy stuff. So
I like cool guy stuff.
The Tremor off-road package is now a standalone thing. It's not like a Lariat Tremor or whatever. It's just its own thing.
Yep.
Mechanically, it's the same except for a much toughened skid plate because people were actually using them.
Is it toughened compared to like
the existing
last year's
Maverick Tremor?
Interesting.
And then it has the same kind of trail control as the Ranger Raptor that I tested last year in Utah.
Nice.
So you can basically super low speed cruise control and it'll just hold it up or down a hill.
Nice.
And there's also a pretty trick one pedal mode that actually works shockingly well. It sounded really dumb, and I told the engineer that's what you're telling me doesn't sound intuitive. This sounds like a bad idea. And then we use it to drop it down a hill, and it was, oh yeah, I see now. This makes a lot of sense. Instead of having to creep up to a hill and feather on the gas and then get on the brake to get over. You just use the brake, and if you take your foot off the brake, off the gas, it'll just stop the truck.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Actually very clever.
Yeah.
It gets those new tweaks, and then the big highlight, cool guy thing.
Hell yeah.
Is the Maverick Lobo.
Sick. My God, those things look so cool.
They look fucking tough as fuck.
Jesus. Is blue the only color you can get with them?
Nope. So, white, black, gray, blue.
I cannot imagine why you would get any color except for the blue. That is such a sick looking thing. Yeah. Oh my God.
It looks really kick-ass. 8-piece body kit. It's lowered, stiffer. It's not just an appearance package. There's actually some real hardware to back it up. It's got the bigger 2-piston brakes off the European Focus ST. kick-ass turbofan 19-inch wheels.
Yeah! I fucking love the wheels.
Which I'm super looking forward to see ripped off of those and put on every other Ford.
Yeah.
I think Ford's 5x114. Those wheels are going to be on everything.
I thought there were...
Maybe they're 108. No, they're I can't remember. Doesn't matter.
I thought they were 108 because everyone puts like...
They are 108. Right. Ford's 5x108.
Yeah. Everyone puts like Jaguar, Volvo, 20s, 21s, like fucking XC60 are design wheels. I'll show you a pic later.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it because when I was driving back, I saw a Maverick on Crown Vic Steelies.
Nice.
With the chrome cap.
Okay, that's sick.
And it looked really tough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to move around.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool wheels, body kit, lower, stiffer, and it has actually the Tremor has this too. It's just calibrated very differently. The same twin clutch electronic rear differential that can split power 100% either way.
Nice.
And Ford very ambitiously, because it's a pickup truck that is based on a unibody whatever crossover on all-season tires in the rain. And it's a mid-level price thing.
Yep.
And they set up an autocross course for this thing.
Hell yeah.
And it didn't embarrass itself. It handled really fucking well.
Nice.
It was actually super fun. And it will drift.
That is sick.
And it will not only like sloppy truck drift, it'll do like a proper like four-wheel kind of hang the ass out and gently correct itself if you get too hairy with it. It's actually really good. It didn't push. It didn't it would plow if you were really done with it. But it wasn't too oversteery. It was actually pretty neutrally balanced.
Yeah. Good
turn in. Has a faster steering rack. Great feedback from it. The front end's way more planted. It's a really fucking well set up little starting point.
I had that naughty thought too when I had the Tremor a couple of years ago. I thought I did wonder multiple times during the week. I was like, how feasible would it be to just like slam this bitch as much as you can and autocross it?
And that's what Ford did.
Yeah.
And it's really good. They also got rid of second gear. So the Lobo just gets a 7-speed instead of the 8-speed. And I asked, why? I was like, well, it's the same external casing. We just yoinked second gear. Because we found it accelerated way better without the 1-2 shift.
Interesting.
So we just did that. I'm guessing there's probably durability concerns too. But, yeah. So, there's actually some serious hardware changes. The engine technically is the same. But, it's a turbo engine. You can do things with it.
Oh, yeah. Suffer a Cobb access port tune away from putting up serious numbers.
Well, that's the thing. That truck is a set of tires, brake pads, a tune, and exhaust away from being actually kick-ass.
It's I find it very interesting how Ford still left some breathing room on the table for people who will ultimately tinker with these things, because it's and I keep thinking back to the Toronto Auto Show when we were poking our heads in around through the wheel wells. It as much as Ford did a seemingly great job, tweaking the suspension lowering it, it's still not quite autocross legal in most circles that follow the SCCA rules. Basically, you got to be 1-to-1.
Do you want to explain that to my mom?
So, for Nathan's mom, most motorsports clubs have a set of rules, and one of those guidelines is that your car cannot be taller than it is wider.
Right.
Because when
rollover is a problem.
Rollovers, you take a corner at speed, as you often do at autocross. Gravity catches up to you eventually. So it's interesting how Ford brought it almost there, because it's actually lowered quite a bit compared to the standard Maverick.
Yeah, it's about an inch.
But it's not quite. It doesn't quite meet that 1-to-1 threshold. But
how far away is it? Do we? I think we looked this up.
I think it was I looked it up last night. It's 2 inches, 2 or 3 inches off.
Okay.
So it's not much. There's still a bit of room. There's still a bit of breathing room.
Right.
So I wonder how much of that was deliberate.
From what I gather, talking to the vehicle dynamics engineer, none. Like, obviously some decisions were made thinking that, like, 95% of people who buy these trucks are going to buy them because they look cool. And that's it. And only a very select minority are actually going to try pushing them as real performance vehicles.
Yeah.
So it was set up in kind. It's set up such that you can play with it. You can change out the brake pads. You can do this and that. If we do it, it's going to cost us a lot of money to push a tune through and get it EPA tested and this and that. But you can do it. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Or things like lowering the truck. They lowered it as much as they could while keeping appropriate suspension geometry to preserve the steering feel that they wanted. And the truck does have fabulous steering feel. If they went any lower, then the geometry of the lower control arms wouldn't work as effectively and you'd have weird on-center feel. Which could, again, correctable in the aftermarket.
Obviously, yeah.
But now we're playing with big things. Like for something to implement at a corporate scale would be very hard.
But for someone on the individual scale, buying those parts yourself, tinkering on it yourself or through a shop, whatever, it's a little more palatable.
A little more feasible, yeah.
Yeah. I wish we had the recorder going in the car when we talked about the same thing. Such is life when you're doing these things.
Yeah, just do more hot mics.
I know, seriously. So it's already on sale?
What's that now?
So it's already on sale?
Yes, already on sale. Yeah, all of them are already on sale. I haven't seen any Lobos on the ground yet, I don't think, but I didn't actually ask when they're coming. I assume, imminent. Yeah. They're being delivered.
I'm already seeing regular Mavericks on the road.
Yeah, I've seen a few 25s already.
Yeah.
Yeah, really compelling truck. The tweaks that they've made seem pretty well thought out. Ford doesn't really fuck around. Usually when they mid-cycle refresh a vehicle, that's okay, now we got it. Now we nailed it. Yeah. This is what we wanted to do all along.
And we saw it with the Ranger too.
Yeah, with the Ranger? With the Ranger, with the Explorer.
Yeah. And now with Maverick. Yeah. Not that there was much to work on initially.
No.
But, with the Ranger and the Explorer, they definitely, let's just say they left some room for improvement. But I didn't think there was already much to improve on with the original Maverick formula.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
But they found it and they made it better.
Nice.
Yeah. Really cool little trucklet type thing.
Yeah.
And they do call it a truck. Did not mince words the entire time. Truck. It's a truck.
Nice.
You kind of roll your eyes and smirk if you called it a fake truck or whatever, but because they know it's unibody, but it's a truck.
Yeah.
And it is the best-selling little truck in the country right now by a wide margin.
I can imagine. I see a lot more of those than Santa Cruz's on the road.
Hey, speaking of which.
I did have a Santa... Oh, okay. Yeah.
How are we doing for time?
Okay. We have about 5 minutes left. So I think we can we could probably close out with talking about the Maverick's closest competitor, arguably.
Yep.
So, last week, yes, I was out driving the 2025 Ioniq 9, but I drove a 2025 Santa Cruz XRT to the airport, and it was waiting for me there.
Oh.
So that was my press car last week.
It looked really cool.
It did. So, gets a refresh for 2025. Basically, everything that you've seen inside the new Tucson, the Santa Cruz now gets it.
Okay.
So, new dash layout.
Right.
I like the old one better. I like the waterfall in the middle, how it
it doesn't have the waterfall anymore.
No, it doesn't. No.
I didn't even look at it.
Well, I mean,
he was only here for a day, I think.
For 2 days. Yeah. And I took my whatever. So new interior, material quality, materials fit and finish, feels great. It gets the dual 12.3 inch screen setup under one panel that everything else gets.
Okay.
I'm not so hot on that. I like the software behind it.
Okay.
But I just like the design of the previous setup better.
Okay.
Swaps out the climate controls as well. It used to have that that full haptic feedback panel that didn't always work well. Now it swaps it out for a more responsive haptic feedback panel, but you also get 2 physical climate temperature knobs as well.
Okay, cool.
So all the controls work well ergonomically. It's ergonomically sound.
Is it available with the hybrid, or is it the 2.5 turbo only?
It is only the 2.5 turbo in Canada.
Right.
US gets don't quote me on this, but in the States you can get a front drive with the 2.5 liter non-turbo.
Right.
In the States, but in Canada they're all at least the XRT. The XRT is all all-wheel drive 2.5 turbo.
Right.
I like the engine. The transmission the transmission it now gets is the 8-speed auto as opposed to the dual clutch.
Okay, I was gonna say they got rid of the dual clutch.
That makes a big difference.
I really should have driven this fucking thing. I didn't know they made these tweaks to it.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. And the news is also the XRT model. It's brand new for 2025, so you get a slight lift.
Is that what you had?
Yes.
Fuck me. I saw it sitting over front. I remember thinking, wow, that orange looks pretty tough. And that was it.
Yeah.
I really should have driven it. Okay.
I had half a mind to leave it here at the office and take my car, but I didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, that's cool for them that they've done all these nice things to it.
It sure is, isn't it? I feel like because Hyundai isn't inherently, because they don't have a lot of experience building trucks, at least for the North American market, I feel like it's a little compromised compared to the Maverick. I feel like the Maverick is... I feel like the Maverick has a much more usable bed. Okay. How so? Isn't the Maverick bed smaller? I don't... So again, don't quote me on this, but I'm not sure about the exact bed dimensions, but my issue was the integrated bed cover. Okay. Cool design. Oh, that's right. Very neat, very clever, but because of all the rollers and sliders and hardware that it needs, it takes up a lot of space on the sides. So perhaps not the most usable from a strictly truck stuff. Right. From a strictly truck stuff perspective. Gotcha. Looks cool. It does look cool. How much was it? Is it? I forget. Fuck off. Really? Yeah. Okay. Let me look this up really fast. Because this is actually very relevant to the Maverick Tremor. I know. So I do recall the last Santa Cruz we had was pushing 45 grand as tested. Okay. But this XRT, I'd be surprised if it's under 40. Because I remember thinking the Santa Cruz was a little expensive. It came with more, it was more equipped than a Maverick. Oh, yeah. You could get a Maverick really stripped out. Yeah. XRT is $47,500. Ooh, that's expensive. Still less than a Maverick Tremor. But still more. Still more than a Maverick, than a hybrid all-wheel drive Maverick. Oh, sorry. The XRT is $47,500. So almost dead ass in line with the Maverick Tremor. Starts at 42. Okay. Yeah. So there's a bit of leeway there. Yeah, the basest Santa Cruz we can get in Canada, at least, the preferred, is $41,999. Yeah. Yeah. Non-hybrid, though. Non-hybrid. That's the kicker. Yeah. I think that's the one thing that really surprised me about the Santa Cruz, why Hyundai hasn't just swapped in the Tucson's. Yeah, because that is a good little powertrain. It is, and they're exactly the same thing, except for the cargo hold. So yeah, I feel like a hybrid Santa Cruz that would really give them the shot in the arm for sales that they need, because I don't not see them on the road.
Yeah, you just see a lot more Fords.
Exactly, I see a lot more Mavericks and Rangers. Probably for a good reason. They're just more like they're just better thought out, right sized trucks.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think the Ranger is like actually a truck.
Yeah.
For roughly the same money. And then the Maverick is, I think smaller, but makes better use of its space and doesn't really give up anything in terms of refinement or user experience, really.
Yeah. Like if I had a choice, like if I was cross-shopping a Tucson, like a loaded Tucson against a mid-trim level Santa Cruz, I might be tempted to go for the more interesting looking choice because everyone has a Tucson. Yeah. It drives like a Tucson. It sips gas like a Tucson as well. I ended up averaging 9.9.
Okay, that's pretty good.
The week, which is
quite
very
good. Healthy for that. Yeah,
and I actually got better gas mileage than I did with the Maverick trimmer.
Okay,
so I averaged like mid tens with that thing a couple years ago.
Okay,
but this thing I got this one under 10.
All right, that's very good.
I just feel like the Maverick. I just feel like the Maverick fulfills the role of a right-sized trucklet better than the Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Better than the Santa Cruz does.
Yeah. The truck things are a little more well-realized.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, the 25 Maverick gets the same trailer backup assist and controls as the Ranger and F-150 now, too.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, they're just being smart, moving all the cool stuff over.
Yeah.
We have, like, a couple of minutes. If you wanted, do anything else you wanted to wrap up about? Because I can't remember what we were going to talk about because we don't have a notepad.
I know, right? RSQ8. We have an RSQ8 this week.
Right. This week I am due to some schedule shuffling, I am in a 2025 Audi RSQ8. I've always liked these. I think they look super, super tough.
Yes.
They look very wide and very tough.
I think of all the coupe SUVs out there, the RSQ8 and the Cayenne GTS are my favorites visually.
I think I slightly prefer the RSQ8. I think Audi's like very angular design language suits that sort of application very well.
It works better than the Urus, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Urus is growing on me.
The refreshed Urus is growing on me. Pre-refresh, I still think it's not great.
It's a little busy, but it's working for the brand. But yeah, I've always been a fan of the Q8. The RSQ8 just looks that much tougher.
Yeah.
It's got a big stonking V8, makes big stonking V8 noises, and has many, many hundreds of horsepower.
Yes.
And I can't test any of this because it has two big-ass dash cams in it, and I'm afraid of everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Factory dash cams, actually. And you know what? It's a prettier setup than...
Well, not factory. Like, they have Audi stickers on them, but they're not factory. Those are dealer installed.
But you can spec them on the configurator.
Yeah, but that's a dealer installed thing.
Oh.
To the best of my knowledge, usually something like that is dealer installed.
Interesting.
Usually. Either way, due to the curious decision to outfit this with two external dash cams, the extreme performance potential of this vehicle is difficult to explore.
Yes.
So I don't have much to say other than that it looks really cool and sounds tough as fuck.
I will say it does have a slightly better driving manners, in my humble opinion, than the Cayenne GTS. Like you do get, Porsches are inherently stiffer than...
Are they?
They tend to ride a little firmer, and they tend to be a bit more feelsome than their cousins.
Okay.
Under the same brand.
Okay.
So while I find, I don't really like how the Cayenne GTS rode. I thought it was maybe a bit too much on the...
Right, a little too firm for its own good. Yeah. I remember that conversation. Yeah, okay.
But I did not get that sense with this RSQ8, despite being the performance model with the biggest wheels and probably its most aggressive suspension setup. It actually rides really well for something on fucking 22s.
Yeah, no, it drove really nice. I think it captures the vibe. This, as far as I can tell, does what I wanted the Cayenne GTS to do. Be an SUV, look and sound very tough, make me feel like a big man, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to be very good.
Yeah.
Just ape good.
Yeah.
And I think this does a better job aping the good. And also, if I have my facts straight, is a shitload faster.
Yes.
For thereabouts the same-ish money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked how the Cayenne GTS sounded better.
It sounded a little tougher, but just a tiny bit too tough. I like this is pretty like dead nuts perfect as auditorily.
A little bit too quiet for me.
Okay.
I really fucking loved how lopey the Cayenne was at idle.
Chunky. Yeah. It sounded nasty. This is a little bit of that nast. This is like 20% less nast.
This has appreciably more nast when you're ringing it out.
Okay.
And when you're outside.
Right.
So we ran an errand with it earlier in the week. I was behind Addie in it, windows down, and holy fuck, that thing sounds sick when you rip it.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I thought it was really nice putzing around to photo shoot locations.
Yes. And to Audi's credit, it actually is very, very lovely to simply putz around town with.
Yeah. It's very well mannered and I'm sure very capable.
Yes.
And looks tough as fuck. It looks really so tough.
I love the matte carbon on that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think that about wraps us up.
That does. Yeah. Takes us right to the end of this week's episode. If you all wish to keep tabs on our automotive misadventures, you can do so at doubleclutch.ca on socials. Again, apologies for any audio weirdness. We are trying something a little new this week, and if it sticks, then so be it. But we're not going to find out until after I piece this episode. Together. So
right, yeah. Hopefully this works out because I am so tired of trying to figure out where we're going to fucking podcast. Yeah. I'm so sick of that dance.
Yeah. It's just like,
I hope this works.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you want to do the thing? It's been a while since you did the thing.
I don't remember what the thing was anymore. Thanks for listening, Mom.
Yeah.
It's always Nathan's mom. That's what makes it funnier.
Okay. Fair enough. And last but not least, thanks for listening, Nathan's mom. Bye.